Welcome back one more time to Shanghai. We are moments away from the grand final of the Star Ladder I-League Invitational, where defending champions Liquid will face off against the surprise Filipino team TNC in a best-of-5 series. I'm going to bring in my four-man panel here. We've switched things up a little bit ahead of our grand finals. Cap is going to join me once again. Lumi is here, fresh off the casting desk, and once more time we have Jack. Guys, we had this discussion ahead of our first series this morning, but we have two new panelists here. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Does the winner of this series get a direct invite to TI7? Straight up.
I think given the two teams that are here, I believe the answer to that is yes. I think both teams have established themselves as pretty consistent competitors and contenders in just about all the events that they've played in. Regionally as well, it works out because you're looking for the strongest teams from each region to want to invite. Looking for reason, as you said before, Nahaz, to invite them, and I think winning this tournament would be a good enough reason for that.
So you think if like Vega Squadron was to say they had been the ones to win this tournament, do you think like because they don't really have any other results, they probably wouldn't get an invite, but TNC and Liquid have both shown enough results that they would?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'd be a bit tougher sell. Also, you have like VP from the CIS region, and if you're not planning on inviting more than one team from there, VP is a mortal lock, right? So then it becomes harder for Vega to make that case.
Yeah, Southeast Asia definitely has a lot of depth in teams, so you can definitely go and say, okay, we're inviting TNC, and say Southeast Asia gets 2 slots to TI, then Faceless and Clutch Gamers, like you're very happy with that.
Well, SEA has strong teams and has had strong teams for a while, but what it's lacked is really that one team that stood out, head and shoulders above the rest. But when you talk about TI invites, one of the things I've said in the past, pedigree matters. Okay, the track record matters, and this is the same core group of 3 core players that knocked OG out of the lower bracket at TI6. This group has a history of success. They're bringing in some new leadership in 1-4-3-7, looking very good in this tournament. I agree with Jack. I think it still depends a little bit on what happens at these other lands, but I think if TNC win today, they're in the driver's seat, and if Liquid win, certainly, I think they're almost a lock. Lumi, what do you think?
I think more so for Liquid, less so for TNC, because Liquid is a proven entity. You know that when the time comes, they're going to do well. Whereas TNC, they do have the pedigree, but it's a new leadership, and also if they're coming into other LAN events, and if they tank in those LAN events, might be a problem.
Well, here we go. Liquid coming in here. Proven competitors. GH leading the way on stage. The relative newcomer to this Liquid lineup, the Wisp specialist. There's a reason you're probably going to see IO banned all 5 games of the series. 14-2 in his pro career on that hero. And here come TNC. The dark horses of this tournament maybe shouldn't be given the track record of some of these players, but 1-4-3-7 leading the way, the captain, high-fiving the crowd as this team is playing in their first official matches together. Indeed, only had a handful of games at all together before the start of this event, but they are the only unbeaten team at 6-0. They come into this grand finals yet to feel the sting of defeat. The handshakes are going. We are about to get underway. And guys, I got to ask you, again, straight up, let's cut to the chase. Who do you like in this series?
Well, I like TNC. I think I said TNC before, Alan. I'm going to say Liquid now. You know, that's how I'm feeling about it right now. It's like the more I think about it, the deeper I'll dive into one side or the other.
Yep.
You know, and then I'll be like, yeah, but Liquid have been more tested. Like they've shown that they can persevere through against a team like IG, whereas TNC, they haven't felt that kind of test. But then on the other side of things, we have what Jack said is like the opposite of that, which is, oh, but that means TNC has more in the reserves. Mm-hmm. Like they have more in the bank when it comes to like strategy and drafting to be able to fall back on. It's you could have very strong arguments for both, and I could just as easily see. I'm not going to say it's like, oh, it'll be 3-2, it'll be I could actually see it being 3-0, but I don't know which team's going to take it. I think there is so little information to work off of that it's very hard to give a prediction for this series. And you know me, Alan, I'm willing to just go in and be like, oh, this team will take it.
Cop out.
That's not a cop out.
I'm not going to cop out. I think Team Liquid's going to take it, predominantly because I feel like they have a wider hero pool. They have the advantage going into the draft. You talked about IO being one of the most important hero that they need to take out. Deeper hero pool, more versatile playstyle, and Yeah, I think they're going to just win from the drafting stage and then go from there. I also think they're the better team.
Let me say this about TNC, and I have to give a lot of credit to them. Maybe Cuckoo goes crazy sometimes and hunts for those kills, but I think throughout this tournament they've played their central idea, whether it's in the draft and the execution, has been very unified. And for a team to bring in a captain that they hadn't played with and kind of entrust him with those big picture decisions, the draft and the strategy, to be able to execute that, there's a lesson in that, I feel like, for a lot of teams. There's different ways to look at it. Sometimes you think if a group of people has played together for a long time, they start to develop that chemistry and cohesion. That's undoubtedly important, and you see that from the core players of TNC who've been there, as you mentioned, since TI. But at the same time, depending on personality, you get sick of playing with the same people over time. And we're talking about a game like Dota where you have so many diverse ideas about the game. And it feels like the more you achieve as a player, the more you're convinced that your ideas are right. And at some point, maybe you can't play with the same people anymore. For TNC, a step of great humility for them to just embrace this new captain and kind of hand him the keys to the car and say, we'll listen to your direction, your drafts. And you can just see just how important that is. Even if his decision is suboptimal or not 100% correct, you're still following that one central idea. That's better than everybody playing in their own direction. So regardless of what happens in this series, I think it's a great achievement from TNC, and I happen to like them in this series as well.
I want to build on that, actually, because I think that idea of what TNC, like the chemistry that they have, and so how they've just so seamlessly pulled in someone else and still managed to see the same kind of top-notch teamwork and everything else that we see from them. Like, when I say I think they execute better than any other team here, it's because the teamwork. I think it's because somebody makes a call and they all turn on a dime to go for that call. I think that is what TNC is best at this point in time, is being able to read and play around each other. And I don't see the same out of Liquid, to be honest. I feel like they're still a bit disjointed. I feel like when I watch TNC, they are a fist. When I look at Liquid, they're five. Like there's Kuro the Thumb, who is trying to take these 3 9K players, and if you look at it, right, the 4 players are all relatively new to competitive Dota as well.
That's true.
So if Kuro's just trying to kind of craft these guys into the best Dota players in the world, but it takes a little bit of time to be able to break them down and really get the ideas of Dota that Kuro has built up for over a decade now, and get it into them and get them to work together in that regard.
Yep. Kuro, the all-time wins leader in professional Dota, recently became the first pro Dota player to reach that 900 win plateau. Only 5 other players, even over 800, a remarkable accomplishment for them. But I got to be honest, guys. Until that last game in the last series by TNC, I would have called this 3-0 for Team Liquid. I really do think that Liquid, they have this insanely talented roster, and I think the veteran captain in Kuro can figure TNC out. But TNC showed us in that last game that they can play a different way, that they don't always have to play pressure, that they don't always have to be the ones on the front foot, that they can play a farming game. They can play the efficiency aspect of this patch with neutrals spawning every minute now. So I think this is going to be a very close series. I still lean toward Liquid, but it would not surprise me for TNC to take this. I believe, however, before we get started here on our grand final, production is telling me we may have an interview. We talked about him earlier. This is GH from Liquid. Maybe.
The newest addition, so I'm not sure what to expect from this team. They're pretty good players overall, and as a team, it's amazing how quickly they found their synergy together, and I can't wait to play the finals. The new patch have brought a lot of changes, especially to the way that the teams look at the game. With a new 1-minute camp, every 1 minute the neutral camp spawns, so players have to balance farming and going for objectives a lot more. I think every single team needs a lot more time just to figure everything out, and it's constantly changing, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. My favorite change is having the neutral camp spawn every minute so I can have farms, because all my teammates want to farm so badly, so I guess I have some farm for myself now. I can't give information on what to expect because I don't even know what to expect, because the meta is always changing, especially now we don't know what to pick or what looks OP or what's feeling OP for both teams. We just have to wait to see which heroes feel better than the others in the game, and we'll go from there.
Well, there you go. Liquid's GH, obviously known for his IO impact player on the Keeper of the Light and a godly performance on Pudge earlier today. Also, a shout out to Marie from Starlighter who did that interview and has taken good care of us. Talent all weekend long here. Guys, we are wrapping about to wrap up the first LAN played on 7.06. Early on, we saw some very, very fast-paced games. I said, though, I don't want to make judgments about this patch too early, and today we've seen much more of a farming focus. We've seen much more of that neutral spawning every minute aspect of the patch. Any guesses as to where this meta is eventually going to end up?
I feel like there's something that Jack brought up, maybe day 1 or day 2, where at the beginning you have teams going for a very proactive strategy with the first pick Jaqueros. They're trying to dominate lanes and go fast, fast, fast. And then as the days move on, I felt like teams are trying to slow down a bit, just get a tiny bit greedier than the other team, just out-econ them a slightly bit. And then the other teams are reacting, okay, I'm going to get slightly bit greedier than you. So I think teams are going to get greedier and greedier to a point where you can't go any more greedy than that. I think we're slowly building up to that. And a week from now, Manila Master is also going to be a testing ground of how greedy can you go. I don't think we could get to the 4 Midas thing of the last patch.
I hope not.
But maybe 2 to 3 Midas might be the way to go.
All right, as we look at the TNC roster there on the screen, we mentioned the support play out of Liquid earlier with GH 14-2 on his Wisp. We should mention Tim's on his Earth Spirit. We didn't see that in the last series, but he's actually 20-6 in his career on the Earth Spirit. That is the highest win percentage ever for a player with 12 or more appearances on that hero in competitive play, and that is all since the last TI. Very impressive record from him and really highlights the strength of this team. I think the hero pool for TNC is actually a little bit more diverse than people give them credit for.
I actually want to go back, sorry, real quick,
Sure.
to what Lumi was saying. I liked what he said. And to build on that, I think that in order to play greedy, the really important thing is to make sure that you have team fight heroes. Like you have supports or offlaners that are able to have a really big impact when it comes to team fight, because ultimately you can't win the game without winning that one team fight and being able to go high ground. So if you are going to be playing greedier in order to guard against that high ground push that's going to be coming up, like you have to be able to draft those kind of like Enigmas or Tidehunters and those kind of heroes. I think we're back to the long cooldown heroes, just because of the fact that they are such a big threat.
So I am getting told for production that we have another interview for you, this time on the side of TNC. Let's give it a look.
I think we're just trusting him on what he picks and what he commands, because we know that he really smart, so we're just trusting him and follow him. I think we really need a bit more time to learn more and learn about the patch, and that's it. I think the respawn time, because it really changed the game. You don't need to think about, oh, it's respawning, he got respawn time. That's why it's really good. I think the whole team is very strong. But I think I want Liquid to be our enemy. So, because if we can beat them, then I think we're really, really strong. So, we just want to beat them. Yeah.
And that was Raven, the phenomenal young carry of TNC, 7.06 KDA in Pro Dota 2 since TI6. That's top 3 among all players. We are into our Game 1 draft in this best of 5 grand finals of the Starlighter I-League Invitational. Liquid are going to open up with a signature hero for them, the Tusk. Kuro roams that very well. You've also seen GH, and TNC are going to waste no time picking up their 2 cores.
Jesus, opening 1-2 core combo?
I think that's the first time that we've seen that this weekend.
Both of those heroes, I would say, don't have any problems with laning phase. Like, I feel like no matter what Liquid pick up, you're going to be kind of okay with Lycan and Darkseer in that regard. Though the only thing you could say is maybe they're both a little bit slower heroes, but your supports and mids can kind of cover that ground pretty well.
Yep. I think the only way actually to really dominate these 2 heroes in the lane, and we actually seen, I believe, one of the Chinese team, I want to say VGJ or IG, do that against TNC, which was offensive trialing against Lycan. Lycan, I think for a good 10 minutes there was jungling in that particular game. And of course you could find yourself a favorable 1v1 matchup against the Darkseer. But now that we see the Lone Druid, I think Team Liquid is going to be going for a very standard defensive lone druid lane versus the Darkseer, and then pick up something that could lane okay against the Lycan instead.
You don't think? Oh no, I was kind of with that aggro tri-lane thing. They could put lone druid just 1v1 against the Darkseer, right? And then run this, run like kind of a fighting offlaner, and then 2 supports that can kind of roam between mid and off lane. Liquid kind of showed that before, right? Is that they would roam between the mid and the off lane and give mind controls. You know, he was like pretty much bristleback every single time, but give that hero a good opportunity for the laning phase.
What's interesting is that one thing we've talked about throughout the weekend has been the value of supports early on in the draft. You guys said that you expected to see supports banned early on. We've seen that be the case in multiple series. And another part of that, you mentioned the cores being picked early here, which is something we haven't seen, is that if supports are more important like that in the draft, then revealing what your supports are early kind of determines what your strategy is going to be in terms of lanes. So teams might be tending towards, hey, maybe we actually hide our support picks because they could go in very different directions, or at least we hide one support pick. There are a lot of supports that can go either way, but some make you more defensive, some give you push, some are more for harassing and roaming and winning the lanes. Maybe you don't want to show your hand on that front as early during the draft.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's an interesting evolution that we're going to see. I think part of the reason that you've seen the supports really early on is that the support meta had been so constricted in the last couple of patch. Very tight, small pool of support heroes run by most teams that were very rarely banned. We're into a new patch where supports are much more important. As that support pool expands and there are more options, you're able to weather those bans. I do see the supports moving closer into the back end of the draft.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out for Team Liquid moving on this draft, I think they need to consider some actual real hard disable, because if you're looking at TNC's hero currently so far, these are some very elusive stuff. That Ishar normally is very good at locking heroes in. Surge, just the wolf form will get them out. So, Keeper of Light, I guess Monolith is very annoying against that fast mobility.
Yeah, Darkseer, Lycan, even Sand King all have issues with the Keeper of the Light. And that hero's been banned like 1-2 by so many of the teams against Liquid. Very surprising that TNC this deep into the draft are willing to still give that hero to Liquid.
Two signature Liquid heroes at the beginning. I like the Tusk, and not just as comfort heroes, but also against the Lycan as well. So for Tusk, you have the Sigil. You have obviously being able to knock him up into the air to delay his damage for a little bit. You have the Snowball as well. Just ways to kind of counteract the ulti length from the Lycan, where he wants to be doing most of his damage. And for the Lone Druid, which we've seen run in melee form, and I believe Liquid is the only team that has run him this tournament. If you're talking about fighting into a bear, getting rooted, potentially you have the fear from the bear as well, and then just being tankier in melee form for Lycan, a hero that wants to be able to usually cut backliners. I think these are two good early draft answers against the Lycan.
Yep. Yeah, and with Liquid, you see with this pair of picks, the Lone Druid and the Keeper, tons and tons of split push potential. We saw Liquid win a game earlier today against IG on the back of a Ags purchase by Matemoman on that Lone Druid, just split pushing IG down, beating a Burning Razor that just had a huge farming advantage. So that's something that TNC is really going to have to deal with, and TNC have not really had to play against that style yet in this tournament.
Good smart ban here from TNC. Last time when Team Liquid ran this pushing strategy, they had Lone Druid Radiance, they had the Axe from the Keeper of Light, and I think another central piece was Tinker, because Tinker was layering multiple Marcher machines next to the tower that the opposing team is trying to defend with. So Tinker out of picture this time around.
Is Sniper Druid is that viable anymore? I was just thinking about the Coddle Naga. If they did Coddle aggro tri-lane with Naga Siren, then they had the Lone Druid safe lane. The overlap there is the Radiance. They're both Radiance carriers, and I was wondering if just got me on the train of thought that, like, do you have to do this Lone Druid as the pushing Radiance hero, or can you still run it as the backline sniper?
So I'm not going to get too excited here, but this is most likely a mind control Earthshaker. But we did see Liquid trot out the Miracle mid Earthshaker the other day against the enemy team's PA. Remember the True Strike added to that Enchant Totem. It took a while to convince Kuro to draft that hero, apparently, he said in the post-game interview, but that sure was fun to watch, and the Chinese fans just loved it.
He also lost that lane very heavily.
Yeah, he really did.
Yeah,
he got ganked like 6 times. Yeah. I mean,
and
a lot of hate.
That is the danger. I talked to a couple different pros who aren't here at this tournament, online, and I kind of asked him about the drafting wise, and it does seem like we're going to head to an area where mids are almost always going to be last picked. Sometimes in this tournament we saw like some mids being so valued, like the Queen of Pain, that we are willing to grab it early, but that mid matchup, it seems to be so important that being able to have the most information possible out there before you choose, because it's not just about the 1v1. Even if you have to pick first, and the enemy team gets the counter, you still have to be able to consider, at least you can have the information on what the supports are going to be doing and how effective they can roam into your lane.
Now, that's one of the things I think we saw on the first day of this tournament, coming out of a patch in 7.05 where the laning phase in many games felt just not that significant at all. We saw those mid matchups on the first day here, just some of them spiral out of control, like we saw an OD against a DK.
Whoa.
Wow, okay, this is going to be, wow. So who's mid here? Is this a Miracle Lone Druid mid or a Terrorblade mid?
Could depend on what the final pick mid is for TNC.
Yep. I think like initially you would like to have just the Lone Druid against the Darkseer. Cuddle's kind of freed up to play some jungle stuff, and Tusk is playing kind of a roaming, maybe helping out Earthshaker a bit. And the Terrorblade's mid, but if it's a bad matchup, particularly with so much roaming power between the Sand King and Witch Doctor, maybe the Lone Druid mid is safer for you because you want to have more of that dead lane, right, where it's very hard to actually make a smoke rotation onto that hero.
And I think, I mean, your options are limited here. The Tinker, the Lina are both out. The Invoker
OD?
is out. OD is in,
OD
yeah.
is the pick.
Okay, so
Ember
it's
is
going to
the
be
pick.
the Ember. All right, this is going to be the Cuckoo Ember Spirit.
I feel like Ember is going to have a lot of trouble first in the laning stage, and more so having
And
a huge impact in the fights.
This will be a Miracle Terrorblade mid. Wow. What a way to start off our best of 5 grand finals. Guys, what do you think in this game?
Go on.
I think the Ember Spirit was the right kind of pickup, just because they needed some really strong, overwhelming team fight. It matches up pretty well against Terrorblade as a mid-game perspective. They have a lot of good skirmish power.
Yeah.
Especially with the Darkseer on top of the Ember Spirit. I'm leaning a little bit towards TNC. But we'll see, because it's gonna be a question about those two supports. Witch Doctor and Sand King are gonna have a very hard time finding accurate rotations. There's not as much pressure on the Liquid supports to make early things happen for them.
Yep.
I like the Witch Doctor pick. I think this is one of the underrated supports of this patch as well. If you see it used back in say the MVP heyday where they'd be fighting all the time, it gives you added sustain. It gives you above average value for your cask, being able to stun multiple targets up against here, the Lone Druid and his bear, and the Terrorblade Illusions. I think it's a good pick that will allow them to keep more map presence. So I'm going to go with TNC.
I'm going to go with the Liquid. If they go offensive trialing against the Lycan with the Shaker, Tusk, and the Keeper, I think they can shut him down there.
All right, I'm going to make it 2-2 on our panel in Liquid. And with that said, let's get our grand final started. I'm going to throw it out to our casters. Here are Coddle Guy and Lacoste.
Thank you so much, Nahaz and gang. I am here at the caster panel, of course, with my good buddy Lacoste. I'm feeling hype and ready for TNC versus Liquid, our Super Sunday Star Ladder I-League Invitational Grand Final. It all comes down to this: who's going to be taking the lion's share of a $100,000 prize pool. A lot of the panel kind of rallied a bit behind TNC with the back-end pickup, favoring it a bit in the team fight. Now, I naturally lean towards Liquid, given that they picked up the greatest hero in the game, Keeper of the Light, of course.
I could never guess that.
What do you think, though, with your expert opinion?
Can I just pick my favorite hero as well?
Sure.
I'll just go with Lycan then. I just love
You
the
like
hero.
Lycan?
Yeah, I just love the hero in this patch. Looking so strong. Roshan goes down so fast, but I'll go with Liquid this game. I think overall they have better lineup, better late game, a lot of control, and Lycan, especially the Lycan control in terms of Blinding Light, Mana Leak, Earthshaker stun, Snowball. That's so much.
Now, is there any chance, I mean, when I look at Liquid's lineup, I can't help but feel like it could be a little on the greedier side of things when you got a Lone Druid and a Terrorblade. Both need that little bit of extra time to kind of bulk on up. Is there any chance TNC, if they're given the opportunity to have a very successful laning stage, can they just blow past Liquid before they even get the chance to reach their prime?
Well, I'm not. You have a good point. But they have Coddle and Earthshaker. It's really impossible to enter the base
That's
tier
true.
3 towers.
They have fantastic high ground defense when you consider someone who's going to be able to blast down all entering waves, and then that dunk factor that could always just be lingering in the backdrop. You make a strong case there. The defensive fortitude of Liquid is going to be something to behold. We'll see, though, if TNC are going to be able to muscle through a strong beginning on this one and try to round things out. But Liquid are posturing up to have a pretty solidified experience here. As we get underway, no serious fishy business going to be breaking out through the laning phase, it would appear. Our Darkseer friend, Sam, is going to be having his 2-on-1 kind of a matchup, so his Iron Shells are going to be bringing in a good trickle of CS. Our mid lane matchup, though, is the peculiar one.
What a body block.
Yeah, Sam H is going to be forced to early surge there. Kuro is just getting right up in his face and trying to prevent him from taking an easy road out. Look at this. Even gets the shrapnel block. It's going to be forcing out the TP. That's 50 gold spent and a long trip all the way back home.
That's a good block there by Sniper. Shrapnel block. Also, one thing,
God damn it.
one thing I noticed: American teams are doing great in this tournament. 0 losses so far.
The Tusk? The what?
The North American teams are doing so great.
Oh,
0 losses.
I see where you went with that. Yeah. 0 losses, 0 wins, of course. We have Theban, though. He's all the American Dota representation you're going to need. And when you have an attitude like, we just played better, your American Dota is certainly showing. And they seem to be having a lot of fun with their games. The hype is definitely real with TNC, but everybody looks at Liquid as possibly a more polished team, obviously a team that's been working together a bit longer, so the chemistry's kind of already built up. But this is definitely the hype matchup that a lot of people were looking forward to. A little bit of teasing here throughout the top lane. Of course, always enjoy when they're able to kind of get a laning setup where the Coddle is going to be kind of in the off lane. He's allowed to really bully the cores. He can even blast down the lane without, really offending the off laner too much. He can just kind of do as he pleases.
Yeah, well, a good combo they have on top. Earthshaker, Enchant Totem with Chakram Magic. Yeah, it's 2 seconds cooldown.
That duo is kind of a classic combo in itself. Even back in the day when it's a simple Chakra Fissure mid lane. Our first gank is going to be very successful as Miracle will pick up the first blood. All assisted from Kuro, of course. A beautiful lead in Snowball, and Shard block will secure it. Liquid with the first strike.
Judging how Kuroki plays on that task, how are they going in again?
This could be either very devastating for TNC or a little greedy for Liquid. Kuro does have to be a bit careful here. He has mana to work with. Oh, he gets chained down. That's going to be forcing out the Snowball. They'll roll back. No rotations are going to be coming, though, and Miracle, going to be able to take him down. The transformation just hits too strong. Wow. That's double takedowns on the Ember Spirit.
Oh, this Ember Spirit is going to have a really bad time. He can't even TP right now. He needs to walk back to the lane.
They may get something their way, but that blast comes out, and it helps him at least get a little bit of return fire. Even though they bring Mind Control down, he is able to swing the Mighty Log and take down 1437 first. Nice blast there set up from GH. And Liquid still have the advantage now, 3-1. Oh, GH even chasing down Tim's a bit. One more blast, and that will get it.
Wow. Level 2 Coddle just controlling that top lane so hard. The Earthshaker is level 4 right now. They need to be super careful at top. Okay, Lycan is level 4, doesn't have Howl yet. Well, he might spend 1 point in a Howl to just boost some HP.
Mid lane, we saw Theban rotate over to add a little bit of harassment onto Miracle, but it looks like he's going to be taking the long journey all the way down south, but not before planting down a ward here. But yeah, that top lane is getting a bit frustrating for TNC, and Raven's going to have to just grind out some side farm and wait for the lane to push on forward. But here's TNC back on the move, smoked up. They have 2 sets of lockdown here. The only opening seems to be possibly in the mid lane. If a chain setup, it could be successful. They move in with a coconut, the follow-up borrowed strike. But here comes Kuro looking to save the day. Snowball's on forward, and they're getting the Cuckoo takedown. Miracle holds strong as he pops out the Sunder and lives on. Now they turn for Tim's, and it's a double kill for Miracle. This is going disastrous for TNC.
This is looking so bad. 3 deaths already on side of Ember Spirit. Crybaby 2 times.
Okay, okay.
3
Liquid.
times.
Liquid. Laughing it up. Feeling themselves already.
Usually you don't see a Terror Blade when he's played on mid. They don't even go for Reflection. Miracle went for 1 point just to have that extra slow when they're chasing down Ember Spirit. Also, you don't see a Sunder. That was really nice of him.
Good redemption there, Kuro, to save the day. And now the pressure's really on TNC. Where do you go from here for TNC? You see that you're getting bullied so hard in the top lane. You're trying to force out rotations, and they keep kind of falling short. Top lane, we're seeing a possible trade here. Mind Control could get caught up in a bit of trouble. And with the Maldic, but no follow-up will be there.
That Earthshaker is getting so fat too. What they need to do is try one more smoke gang, maybe on that mid, just to help out Ember Spirit get back into the game.
Meanwhile, Matama Man, as we see down here, have been bringing in the second highest CS only to Miracle himself.
There is that smoke I was talking about.
Okay, they need to get it going because
Sunder is on cooldown 30 seconds, but he has a flask and infused raindrops. I'm not sure they can take him down.
they're going to have to try, though. They really are letting this early game get away from them, and they need to make something happen here. And now they're beginning to roll on in. The first rotation's already coming out. They follow it up. The snowball's going to be there, and they get the save. Now the blast on forward. They're going to get the takedown of the Sand King. Cuckoo, though, determined to go back into action, will get the takedown of Miracle. But can he make it out alive? It looks like he may. Conveniently had the invis, and now will bottle on up. GH tries to dish out the blast, but Cuckoo will sidestep it. TNC gets something going their way. It does cost them their support kill, but they finally get Miracle down.
Miracle needed only a few seconds for Sunder once again.
It's a lot of work and effort right now for TNC to be able to even just get that gank successful. And while that's happening, of course, you still have Matama Man on one side farming away and Mind Control on the other, grinding it out. I mean, imagine if this Mind Control Earthshaker is able to bring in a Blink Dagger in fabulous timing. Here we go. Follow-up extra bit of harassment. This time Miracle does have the Sunder. He, in fact, commits into the transformation, starts softening up Cuckoo a bit, and will force him back. So now they're looking to commit in and hit that tier 1.
Cuckoo still has a high CS concerning how bad he was crippled at the start.
Here comes trouble.
Oh, here
He's got
comes
half-life.
Lycan.
Yep. The big bad wolf begins to run on through. It looks like they may have spotted Kuro. I don't think he could turn around Shard Block, can he? He is able to get it off, but he tries to hide within a safe pocket here. GH begins to charge up the blast. That's going to fly right through the team. He snowballs down to the low ground, looking to go for 1-4-3-7. The coconut's going to be dished out, but they will get Theben. And this gank not working out again for TNC. They try to head out the other direction.
I'll tell you something. I bet my left nut that they're gonna ban Tusk in the first phase next game.
All right, I'll hold you to it, but I won't hold your nut. Bottom lane, Sam H forced to step off a bit. How have things been going for him? I mean, it's the one foundation for TNC who hasn't diverted from his lane. Maybe he can truck on forward, get that utility, get that mech or something, and TNC can kind of fall behind that. But I feel like I'm even reaching when I'm asking for that.
All right, Matumba Man, they have a vision on TNC, so immediately he TPs top, wants to pressure the top lane. With the Earthshaker, they can actually get a kill on him.
Tim shows himself here, but Mind Control makes the move. He's going to get hit with a Burrow Strike, though. Will he turn around with the Fisher? Yes.
Root.
Oh, Savage Roar sends him out of the Sandstorm. Tim's tries to run out and get it to the side of safety here. Raven's nearby, and it looks like he will be able to create enough space and avoid the trouble. One of the rare Liquid ganks that actually doesn't work out.
If Liquid decides to push top, they should be careful. There's an Ember Spirit with a TP ready in 5 seconds and Haste and Bottle plus Iron Shell from Darkseer. That could be really devastating for them.
Who do you think they should look to target? Is it getting back at Miracle again, or do you think they should put their attention elsewhere? Easier targets, or what do you think?
Well, Lone Druid has been free farming. There it goes.
Whoa.
And
Or on
there
back.
he goes
Cuckoo.
back.
Jumping right in with the Remnant here, looking to get a hold of Mind Control. Gets it done. The Iron Shell burns on him forward. Can they get it enough? Yes. The last few moments of that TP. They will get the bring down to Mind Control.
That's a lot of damage. Liquid should be really careful about that damage from Iron Shell and Ember Spirit Flame Guard during the mid game.
Ooh, look at this. GH actually in queue at the moment has the Force Staff set up. Normally, you know, Coddles, once they're making it past the Tranquils and have gotten plenty of wards, will just go for the Agnum straight up, but he is prioritizing the Force Staff here.
Yeah, because they don't have that much of a lockdown, Sand King stun, or just root from Ember Spirit.
Uh-oh.
He can easily force him out.
Tamaman forced to dish out the Savage Roar to avoid the onslaught of Raven, but here comes Kuro, confidently snowballing on forward, drops down the sentry and heads out the other direction. But Tamaman continues to dance with Tims a bit, sending in the bear. Oh, he gets the root. That with the Orb of Venom. Raven pretty damn slow. They're actually going to block him in with the shards, and he'll be forced to TP out. Tims bodyguarding Raven a bit so he can get away safely, and the root is there. Oh, in mid lane, Miracle also going to be able to score another kill. That's 2 kills for Miracle. While that's all going down, he's also going to be able to pick up the tier 2, turns around, gets the Sunder, looks to chase down Cuckoo, but Cuckoo will be able to jump away. Oh man, this is getting a bit out of hand in game number 1 for Liquid. While all that goes down in the top lane, you mean to tell me Miracle scores not 1, but 2 kills and now 2 towers?
That's
Damn.
7 kills and 2 towers for Miracle in 11 minutes. That guy's 7k net worth. And below him, that's a Lone Druid with Hand of Midas who was free farming with 5.5k. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, really wow.
It is really ridiculous here. Kind of in awe at the moment of Liquid's head start to this one. Maybe Miracle almost could end up getting ahead of themselves. He's sporting ridiculous net worth that if somehow TNC are able to get the jump on him, it would be a good bounty to be able to pick up. Here TNC are back on the move again. Smoked, it looks like they may cross paths with Captain Kuro. They'll lead him with the Burrow Strike. There's the Maldict. They pop out some right clicks. The Coconut's there, but he's got the Snowball out, and it looks like they will be able to get their man.
Well, at least it's something. Miracle on the bottom. What does he have? He has a full Yasha finished. They should just continue pushing top with Bear and the Earthshaker. Earthshaker 500 gold away from Blink Dagger. On the other side you have Sand King who's level 5 and it's not even close to his Blink.
The Liquid trifecta up at the top continue the pressure forward as the Bear begins to paw at the tier 2 now. TNC are going to be split here as far as their attention to Miracle to the bottom lane and defending the pressure coming from the top. Still continues to feel a bit awkward for him.
Scan being used on bottom. They spotted out Miracle. Mind control with a good positioning, just eating the forest. If he gets in trouble, he will just go from there.
Darkseer continues to grind his way through the farm, and I guess that's one perk here. It would be unfortunate if it already got to that point, but Darkseer is a strong high ground defender for the side of TNC, and that paired with the Sand King, there is some fighting potential, but just at the way that Liquid are clearly escalating, they might just have too many items and be too farmed.
Judging how game is going right now, when Earthshaker gets his Blink Dagger, and with the pushing power they have in Terrorblade, this game might end in the next 10 minutes.
We'll see. Already, Metamorph out here, bottom lane. They're looking to chunk away. There goes our first Echo. It's going to blast, and it's going to finish Sam. He goes down, and this is going to be a tier 1 for Liquid. Very polished game already.
They might not even stop at tier 1 tower. Metamorphosis is up half of the duration.
Ooh, tried to go for a Fissure there, but obviously going to be cut a little short. Now Liquid waiting for the new wave to come. GH is going to help get rid of the lane coming down, and they begin to go to work on a tier 2 here. And it's on TNC to respond. They don't have everyone at attendance, but Sam is back now. He's rotating in, and it looks like Liquid are about to take their lead. Matamaman's going to be first to peace out. He heads all the way up north and will farm through that top lane. Miracle here, still behind. Mind Control drops down the fissure and the Great Wall. Blinding Light comes out from GH to create a little bit of extra space. Can Mind Control make it away from this? No. He will be the one to pay the price here. For the rest of the Liquid members, looks like they may be safe. Oh, or have I spoke too soon? GH will keep himself behind the tower.
He's being pinged out.
Yeah,
That's a TP ready.
Yeah, they're going to be diving in.
He's long gone.
Oh, no, he's not. They got him. Nice little burrow catch there from Tims. GH with that Force Staff tries to slide through. Blinding Light blasts him away. He is, though, caught out slow. 1-4-3-7 can't accept the fact that he's making it away. Dishes out the ult, but it's still not going to be enough. Get out of here, Coddle. He lives on.
How happy are you that Coddle lived?
I hate to see a Coddle die, so I am elated about it. TNC will be able to double back and get the finish on the Tier 1, but that has to be a tough pill to swallow. A full rotation to the bottom and a response play to Liquid, and they only walk away with just the mind control kill. And in the meantime, Liquid had been building the pressure back through the top. This is just forcing TNC to keep going cross-country from one side and back. At this point, Liquid are going to have their cooldowns at the ready once again, and they're going to look to push forward and get the finish on this Tier 2, I'd imagine. We'll see what TNC have to say in the matter, though. It's tough, though. Mind Control has that Blink Dagger now. Needs about 10 more seconds, and he'll have the dunk ready to go. This is going to be a tough fight, it looks like, for TNC. Already Cuckoo eating a lot of heavy damage here. They will be able to get the takedown of the Bear. That's a good 300 gold. They'll just summon a new Bear. They'll get the takedown of the Tier 2. And Liquid will not get a follow-up after that. TNC are just watching those towers go down before them and just watching Liquid bring in so much mass wealth. Oh, the roots come out for Raven here. Is he going to be forced to use the ulti to make it away? He might have to.
Is there going to be another route? Pray to gods.
Oh, jukes back up. Can he get out? He jukes back down and back up again. Finds a pocket, goes for the TP, and he's out of there. Had some nice juke plays this game, though. That's the second one already. Very nice stuff.
Yeah. TNC needs their Blink Dagger on Sanking. With this stack, he'll be really close for getting it, actually.
Definitely would be a big boost for TNC. They kind of lack some gap closing initiation until they're able to get a hold of that said Blink Dagger. So I suppose their grind to farm will continue to that point. Liquid have really no reason to deter from the game plan that they've already been kind of achieving here. Now for Lycan, though, he started with the Mask of Madness, now moving into the Armlet. Oh, mid lane, how you doing there? Uppercut to the skies, and he asks him to sit down and be humble.
All right, it's time for Roche, maybe, if they want to rotate Miracle there.
Dang, every moment I'm trying to preach about what TNC may need to kind of get back in this game. It just takes moments before Liquid have already got something for themselves, and it just doesn't seem to stop. Lead in Fissure and a Shard. Poor little Witch Doctor. Far from his friends and families, they look to surround the guy, and they take him down, hitting him right in the coconuts.
It's really hard to fight into Liquid's lineup, especially right now when the Radiance is up. You have a Fissure, you have a block from Ice Shards. That's a double block spell plus a Snowball. All right, it is time for Roche.
This game getting away from TNC real fast. As you mentioned, they are going to be able to shift into the Roche pit. There is side pressure coming out from Raven on the bottom, but all they need to do is simply send the Coddle down below, and he can help blast things out. TNC do look to respond towards this Roche, though. They've already TP towards their shrine, and it looks like Liquid can't fully commit for it yet.
It's a Sanking with level 1 ulti that's not much damage. He might need those levels up for that extra 2x pulse.
Don't know if he's going to get it anytime soon. Already TNC are just holding each other's hands right now in their own jungle, knowing that they're going to have to possibly be as 5 if something's to break out near that pit. So they'll just try to nerf down a bit of the side damage. It looks like they will be rewarded with a free bear. And quickly Matama Man on the run the other direction. It looks like he's been spotted, chained down, though the Fissure is going to be coming out, and a Shard on the other side, and TNC head back to their safe high ground area. All right, looks like Mind Control will head down, take care of the bottom lane pressure, and Liquid will be delayed a bit from moving in for the Roche. So that is a good positive point for TNC, I could say, but they had to commit a lot to be in this area to prevent them from doing it, is the other side of the coin.
Well, this delay is good for TNC. If they get Aegis for Terrorblade, that might actually just end the game there. So they can scout with the Wolves. They got good in and out from Ember Spirit. Ember Spirit had to commit to buying a Blade Mail right now, just get some more armor and some more reflection damage.
I'll take your tribute.
The damage output could be quite ridiculous, especially for Miracle, so if he's somehow able to reflect a bit of that back, could be pretty beneficial here, but Miracle's farm grind continues, and it looks like he has slotted up a Scotty after completing that Manta, so he is going to be growing quite a bit. He's currently the highest net worth in the game at about 12K, and it's about a 12K net worth advantage overall for his team above where TNC currently are. TNC still have a lot of money on the map they would love to get a hold of, only been able to grab that bottom tier 1. So they're kind of sharing a lot of farm on their side of the map. It gets a bit awkward, and it's kind of unfortunate when they have to, spread it so thin.
Only Terrorblade and Lone Druid have almost the same net worth as the whole TNC team.
Yeah.
It's,
Gives you an idea of how this game has been going at the moment. Certainly feels like the odds are stacked against TNC pretty significantly here, but in my history of Dota casting, I have seen heavier comebacks. Liquid, though, as we know, is a very polished team and don't allow games like this to get away from them very often.
Yeah, they're just continuing to farm. What does Darkseer have? Is that a Blink Dagger? Yeah. Well, that's a big item for them. If they pull out like a big 3-4 man vacuum wall combo into Sanking Stun.
Yeah.
3 Remnants.
Get a grab of that.
Visual Doctor cast.
Yeah, the illusion of the metamorphed Terrorblade would be a big grab for their side. Even the Bear. TNC as a team now going all the way across and heading all the way towards the top where Liquid currently stand, or at least maybe scouting out the Roche side here. 1437 leads out the charge, but Tamaman, first hit rude. He already lost half of his life. Are you serious? He's trying to save him with the help of the mech, but the blast just comes short. Oh my God, Theben barely lives. The shards, not gonna quite catch him. The snowball though, should. But the burrow strike comes out. They're doing everything they can to save their new member. They'll finally get him as Miracle comes in from behind and will bring him down with one simple right click. Now begins to go to work. Unloads a Fury onto Raven. Can't quite get him, but they'll end up bringing down the Ember Spirit. A buyback's gonna get forced out as Mind Control dunks it on home. They'll get the finish onto Sam H. The burrow and the Epi hits onto Liquid, but not enough firepower is going to be there.
Alive?
No one going to be going down from Liquid. This is ridiculous. TNC have dished out the most they've been able to do in this game, and Liquid are just laughing about it. Look at GH, he's laughing about it.
How is this possible? After seeing this, I think Tusk is the best hero in Dota 2 right now.
Quite ridiculous, and I would be with you that this Tusk probably shouldn't stand in the next draft. Liquid will easily segue themselves after a successful skirmish into the Roche pit and gobble up the free agents.
Oh man. They pulled a decent combo from TNC, but still that's not enough. I mean, Kuroki was pretty much going into 3 heroes, not dying, getting back with, let's say, 30, 40 HP, using Urn, coming back in again, then saving the whole team from the epicenter.
Liquid certainly feeling and looking rested and ready and warmed up after their showing against IG. 19-5, now a near 17K net worth advantage going their direction. The Scotties near complete here for Miracle.
What about your favorite hero, Coddle? What does he have? Look at that.
He's getting, he's got his Ags already, man. I felt like the last time I peeked at him, he only had his, point booster, but dang. And Coddle can farm. Top lane. It looks like they've been able to get a grab of Cuckoo, and he goes down. That's 40 seconds without a buyback, and suddenly Liquid are at the front door. This is possibly going to be a pretty swift game, number 1. Let's see how Liquid might try to close things out. A fissure that connects onto 2. Snowball forward. They're already going to be forcing out the mech. They may need to tag the Shrine too. Liquid will double back after already getting a lot of heavy pressure here. TNC are forced as 5 indoors to defend this one.
Oh, Lycan even committed to a Wolf form, and Miracle has meta ready. They will just go in on those towers right now.
Yeah, they're going to wait out, and the shapeshift's already over. Now they can begin to play here. They do get a stun onto the Bear. Okay! Dunk in from Mind Control is going to get the quick takedown of the Witch Doctor. Pull back, vacuum wall. Pretty nice here from Sam. Does a lot of work, but he loses his own life just as fast. Miracle could be in a bit of trouble here. Caught into the tower, shoved on forward, turns around, sucks the life right out of Cuckoo, and puts him back under. And this one's going to be over. A huge, convincing win for Liquid. Was there really any chance for TNC in game number 1?
GG with caps cold. I guess
Wow.
that means something.
That was an emphatic game number 1 by Liquid. I don't think there were any downsides to their showing there. It felt like right out of the gate with the landing phase, it was just going wonderfully for them.
It went from bad to worse with every team fight they took.
But where did it really get away from them? The landing setup was obviously not favorable for them.
Kuroki was reading their movement so good with that Tusk saved the Miracle 2 times, and the Miracle got like 5 kills in few minutes, 2 towers. He was sitting on 717k net worth at 13 minutes. That's just crazy.
Crazy game. I am very interested to see how the panel is going to be able to break this one down without saying that it was just a straight up ass beating. So let's throw it over to Nahaz in the panel to see what they have to say.
Well, welcome back to our panel, and hopefully we can do better than that as Liquid take control in a big way. They're up 1-0 over TNC in this best-of-5 grand finals. Bringing back my 4-man panel again here. This was a statement game by Liquid. TNC had been playing some pretty good Dota, but Liquid turned it around in a big way.
They got handled. Like if I was TNC, I'd be done with the whole entire series after that game, because like because you saw what happened there was Liquid outplayed TNC, and we saw TNC really crack quite a bit. Like they couldn't deal with these dead lanes. They started like really falling under pressure. Like they started making decisions that didn't really make sense.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that. This whole entire tournament it's like they've been just playing very well around each other, even when put under pressure. This time around, they just started making decisions that were not going to go well for them whatsoever. And you could feel it too. Like if I was Cuckoo and my supports came and made a call for us to go and kill this Terrorblade or something, and we go in,
You'd be
and
like,
it's
nah.
3 versus 2, and we lose 2 heroes, and we don't kill something, they're like, I'm done. You know?
I mean, I think there's a lot to what you were saying, particularly the dead lane concept that we've been talking about all day long. It just was not handled well by TNC. It felt like you knew they weren't going to gank the Lone Druid, so you knew they were going to go on Miracle mid. That's the only move that they had, and it almost felt like you knew when. I mean, there was actually one point where 1437 rotated mid. He just walked up to Miracle, cast a Maledict, and walked away. And it's so much psychological pressure on those supports. They know they have to make plays that their rotations were just not as productive as they have been.
I have something a lot more extreme to say. Despite not being directly involved in this game, I feel like I just got taken to school by Liquid's drafting. There's beyond the dead lanes and stuff. Let's think about this. For Liquid's heroes that they drafted that set up in lanes, the Terrorblade and the Lone Druid. Those are heroes where against team fight, split pushes an answer against team fight in a sense, right? Mm-hmm. Where you avoid these big engagements. If you rotate heroes out of any of those lanes to fight somewhere else, your tower is gone, including with the Keeper of Light to be able to shove out lanes. So that's immediately all 3 lanes. Whenever you rotate heroes to go take a team fight, your tower is gone. Additionally, with 2 of the heroes, with the Tusk and the Earthshakers, are able to create terrain and block off. When you're talking about the main damage sources from TNC, they're both melee heroes. So even if you successfully get a rotation somewhere, if one or both of those heroes shows up, they can limit the damage, stop the bleeding, and or trap your hero and cause a bad trade for you. So not only are you losing if you invest too many heroes to gank a lane, because you'll instantly lose at least 1 or 2 towers somewhere on the map, you end up not being able to fight anyway. Like, it minimizes the damage that you can do. I feel like this was a masterclass in terms of drafting. Before the game, only talked about some of these heroes being good against Lycan, being able to delay him. But just overall, in terms of game plan, this was amazing.
Yeah, and that all of a sudden, that mobility that you have from the Lycan and his shapeshift and the Darkseer with Surge, it feels a lot less when you're having to run around fissures and ice shards constantly.
For me, the game was almost won like 5-6 minutes in. I talked about having an offensive tri-lane top, but they did it better. They shut down Lycan with only 2 heroes, allowing the Tusk to do whatever he wanted to do. And once the power trick came out on Shaker, I think that's where the lane was just lost. Like, he was walking up Enchant Totem and then laying, like 80 damage, 90 damage on Lycan, plus the Illuminate, plus the Fissure. How does a melee hero like Lycan stay in that lane? And once that lane is won, then the roaming was forced out by the dire supports. And like you said, it became very, very obvious that the supports are coming in. My favorite play throughout the whole game was the Tusk, right? He saw the Terrorblade getting gone on the mid lane. He could roll in instantly to save him. No. Baits the Terrorblade a bit, waits him to get low, waits him to commit under the tower, and then the Sucker Punch comes out. So I think Tusk might I mean, you need to ban Tusk. You need to ban Wisp. You need to ban Coddle. There's so many heroes to ban.
I think Cuddle is probably the
Higher priority.
I think Cuddle personally is higher priority to me
Yeah.
just because of the uniqueness of the
Sure.
hero. I think like Tusk is a 4 position that can be kind of like you can replace Tusk with other heroes, but you can't really replace Cuddle. You know,
Yeah.
like there's no other hero that really gives you the that enables the off lane so much. Like we saw that early on in the 7.0 patch. There's no hero that is really going to be able to defend pushes quite as well or shove out lanes to the extreme that he does. And then we didn't even see the power of recall at all in that game.
I'm going to go to a hero that I've been talking about for Liquid all tournament, and it's the hero that back in their, maybe when they started to hit their stride a few months ago and won the last Star Ladder was a huge part of their success, and that's the Lone Druid. The things that the Lone Druid brings to the table and that they're not afraid to pick early. 1, it is a difficult hero to gank. 2, it is a very self-sufficient hero. As soon as you manage to get just experience level 5, you can solo kill anybody who's there or any supports who are there. 3, it is a hero that obviously takes objectives very quickly, whether left alone or as part of a team push strategy. To find all of those ingredients in one core hero that you're not afraid to pick early on is exceedingly rare. I can't really think of too many other examples of that, except possibly Terrorblade in a sense that fit that mold. And this is a hero that in this tournament only Liquid uses. Arguably Liquid used this hero better than anybody else during its PK day after 7.0. And I think it's just, if it's on the table for them, they will take it, and it's a big part of their strategy.
Have to agree. Well, guys, I think we need to take a little breath here. This series is not over. This is a best of 5, 1-0 advantage, hardly insurmountable. Let's take a break. Let's reset a few things. Hope that TNC can find some answers. We will be right back in just a few minutes with Game 2 of our Star Ladder I-League Grand Finals.